Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 9 of the Living Room Fight Club. I'm Scott. I'm here with my boy Dave. As always, today we're going to be addressing Mr. McGregor and the way his career could potentially go from his current standpoint. Dave, I'm going to give it over to you first.
So, let me begin by saying it's nice to see Mr. McGregor out and about. Obviously, he did make an appearance on UFC 285. But to answer your question, my friend, well, I can only imagine it'll be nice to see him in the ring, right? To see him throw some punches. Because last time we've seen him was in, remind me or correct me if I'm wrong, January 2021, UFC 257.
I believe so, against Mr. Dustin Poirier.
Yes, and obviously he had a bit of a leg injury, if I'm correct, as well, on that last fight. So obviously that made him unable to fight, right? But again, I think, what if, I would love to see another fight between both of them, to be fair. This is just my personal opinion, because I think, the score needs to be settled. I think, Conor, again, from what we've seen, because recently I think he posted a few things on the Instagram showing obviously him sort of back, if you know what I mean, getting prepared and things. It will be amazing again, like to see him fight. Because again, the score's not settled. I think he's got a lot more to show. I think Notorious is still out there, one of the best. I think I would class him personally, in my eyes. Obviously, I know he did have a few hiccups in his career. As we all know, Mr. Floyd Mayweather versus him, that didn't go too well for him either. I think that was one of those sort of money fights anyway. But I think from what he said, he got from that was about 50 to 80 million, something around that sort of amount. But again, what if, mate? He needs to get straight in the ring, mate. Show us what he's got. Show us his potential. Show us that he can still do it. But my only concern is his leg, right? We had few fighters before when they had exactly the same injury and the comeback wasn't as great. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Excuse me. I think most likely as we know, he's returning against Michael Chandler at the end of the Ultimate Fighter season. I think McGregor could probably win that fight. We know the way Michael Chandler fights, he puts on a lot of pressure. He's very explosive. However, I think that could be beneficial to the new/old McGregor that we are potentially going to see. Conor is one of the best at timing his punches. You could ask anybody that. He is up there with the very best at his timing. Before he boxed Mayweather, he was very much a movement-based fighter. It was very much part of his persona. He would always talk about his movement and, how important it was to his game. From what I've been hearing, rumours, Mr. Stephen Thompson, he is currently a UFC welterweight. He has been an assistant coach for McGregor in the Ultimate Fighter season. And he has basically said recently that McGregor is very much going back to his old ways in terms of movement. So that fucking excites me massively, because as a Conor fan, you want to see him go back to his old ways and focus on movement. Like I said, since Mayweather, he's been very flat-footed because he's been in that boxing mindset. Whereas now it's very good to hear, that he's getting back to his movement ways, etc., etc. With that said, let's say he gets the win over Michael Chandler, right? He's more than likely going to get a title shot after that. He's Conor McGregor. He does what the fuck he wants. He's going to have that privilege. Dana White is probably going to, if he wins the fight, especially in devastating fashion, if he goes out there and smokes Michael Chandler, he's more than likely going to get a title shot. So, with that fight, the current champion is Islam Makhachev. That is not a good fight for McGregor stylistically, okay? So, what I think would probably happen is he would come back. He'll probably beat Michael Chandler. I think he would more than likely, obviously this sport is crazy, you never know. I'd say more than likely he would fight Makhachev after that, and he would probably lose that fight. And with McGregor, I can't see him retiring on a loss. So personally, I think he would probably have one more fight against somebody that's fun for us fans. That's going to be a fun fight for him. And then I think that is probably what we would see. That's the most likely thing I believe we're going to see. McGregor come back and beat Michael Chandler. If he gets the title shot against Makayev. He'd probably lose that, but I can't see him retiring on a loss like that. So I think he'd come back and fight somebody that, is a bit of fun for everybody and go from there. That's my thought on what is most likely going to happen.
See, you've gone more specific to what I did. I just want the guy to come back to the ring. But let me ask you this: what about Nate Diaz? Do you think maybe they can have a fight? Do you think that could be possibly on the cards?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to take a few. It's going to be. I think McGregor's probably got 3 fights left in him. Look, so let's say he does the Chandler and he beats him. He then gets the title shot and he loses the title shot. Nate Diaz fits in perfectly for that. It's the trilogy. Nate Diaz beat him the first time by submission. Conor McGregor beat Nate Diaz the second time by decision.
Yeah.
A lot has been left unsaid. There's still that trilogy fight to make. So very good call out there. I think Nate Diaz is probably the perfect matchup for that. However, will the UFC take Nate Diaz back for that fight? I'm not sure. That is a whole other argument.
Well, I'm going to throw something into that argument. Money and business out of it, right? So let me put it to you this way. True. This is from the business person or business person's mind, right? Dana White, a guy who obviously jumps on deals and sees money into everything, right? We've seen what has happened with Prime. No offense to him. Great businessman, great business mind, right? So don't you think he would have probably set that up for that to happen for once and for all? One fight, get him back, get it sorted, have the fight there, like literally charge people $30 or $40 for the pay-per-view fight. Yeah, let's see. Again, both of those titans, because not being funny, they're both really good fighters. Yeah, Nate Diaz, obviously, I know he had his really good time at UFC. He was a really good fighter. Yeah, same with McGregor. Both. Get them both in a ring, make one of those proper fight nights. Let's get it done, get it sorted, make millions of pounds or dollars. Yeah, let's get the Prime there. Let's get Logan Paul there. Let's get KSI in there. Let's get the living crap out of it, man. Let's just make the fight of the year. Don't you think that could potentially happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, that fight is always going to be a compelling matchup, no matter what happens. Beforehand, Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor stylistically creates a great fight every time. You're absolutely right, Dana White. Thinking about it a bit more, I think Dana White would probably quite happily make that fight. Nate Diaz a comeback. Nate Diaz is probably going to do a boxing match against somebody. Might be Mr. Jake Paul. We're not sure, but I would assume Nate will go off, have one fight somewhere, and that should be about the same time ready for McGregor to take that fight, I would assume. Dana White would definitely make that fight, thinking about it. He would make it a big card, wouldn't he? Put some big names on there, up below McGregor. I make a statement out of it. Yeah, I think Nate Diaz is a great call for that to happen.
Oh, yeah, 100%. How about the George Masvidal? Do you think he could potentially be his next opponent as well? I probably said his name wrong anyway.
No, it's all right. Yeah, Jorge Masvidal. That is also on the cards. It depends. I'm pretty sure he's got a matchup in a couple of weeks, Masvidal against Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think that goes very well for Masvidal. I think probably Gilbert Burns wins that either very decisively early on, or I assume it. Personally, my view would be a decision win. I think Masvidal is very, very tough, and could probably, maybe, if that makes sense, survive against Gilbert Burns. With that said, he would then be on, I believe it would be a 4-fight losing streak.
Yeah.
So, that then asks the question of, does he then deserve the McGregor paycheck afterwards?
Yeah, I suppose. I can obviously ask you this, or even, my own comment being, don't you think McGregor is a bit too big for him? In terms of, obviously, the name, if you know what I mean, and the UFC name, don't you think? Yeah, that must be the case, isn't it?
I think Masvidal's had his time. He had his time, I think it was 2019. He knocked out Ben Askren in, I think it was 6 seconds or something, fastest UFC knockout ever. That was his time. However, since then, as we know, I'm pretty sure it's a 4-fight losing streak. So I believe his stock has gone massively down. And yes, I agree. McGregor is a much, much bigger name. And, on a 4-fight losing streak, I don't think you deserve to get a McGregor paycheck. not when you keep losing that decisively.
Yeah, 100% agree with you on that one. Actually, I don't think they want to head that way. And lastly, another person that came into my mind was Usman. What do you think about him? Do you think he will be able to maybe give him a shot or not?
Nah, I don't think so. It depends how this weekend goes. Obviously, Usman and Edwards are fighting again this weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously that is at welterweight. I believe McGregor's coming back at lightweight. It depends what McGregor shows up. Like I said, if McGregor shows up and beats Michael Chandler, and he doesn't want to fight at lightweight anymore, he could get a title shot against Usman or Edwards. Depending on what happens this weekend. I don't think that's a fun fight for McGregor personally. I think Usman's too much of a wrestler.
Yeah.
So again, it depends on what happens. If McGregor goes out there and he smokes Michael Chandler, then says, I don't want to cut this much weight anymore. I want to go to welterweight. Does he then get an automatic title shot? That bears a question because there's so many people in welterweight who deserve a title shot currently. Gilbert Burns. If Gilbert Burns beats Masvidal, that's a title shot. Chimaev is there. There's so many potential. Bilal Muhammad. There's so many people that are deserving of a welterweight title shot. I don't think it's very fair that McGregor could come in and skip the queue. With that said, if McGregor was to come in and beat Michael Chandler, and then if he was to come in and beat Islam Makhachev for the lightweight belt, then fucking fair play. If he wants to go up and challenge, to become the first ever triple champion of a division, who am I to say, no, you can't do that,
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah. Again, we're sort of in a bit of an agreement on this episode. I quite like that.
Yeah. That's a tough one, man. I don't know where that would why that would come into play, but the UFC is a crazy game. Crazier things have happened than that. Like I said, McGregor could come in, smoke two people, and go, nah, I'm done at lightweight. Give me that shot. Let me become the first ever triple champ, and then take on Usman. That could happen. It could happen.
Yeah, I will. To be fair, I will say there hasn't been much hype from McGregor whatsoever. Obviously, there's been a couple of pictures of him, practicing, training, and stuff like that. He was showing his physique, and he looks quite. I won't say menacing, but he looks a lot better to what he did before. Like he did bulk up quite a bit, right? He might have a lot. Packing there, if you know what I mean, in terms of I'm gonna come back stronger than ever, better than ever, and I'm just literally just gonna rip people apart. Not being funny. He's 34. He's got a lot of fights again. 22 wins and 6 losses. Yeah, I get the record is a bit, there, but at the end of the day, he is notorious, right? He just comes out there and destroys people, right? Again, would love to see that happen again. That he's got that mindset of literally of just this raw fighter. Let's just beat people up, talk smack to people. That what he was famous for, right? He was literally talking crap to them, and then in the ring, he was doing exactly what he was saying. If you know what I mean, I would love that Conor McGregor to come back, like you said at the beginning. So much good again. It will be so much hype. All the fans would love it because he's back. But then he hasn't announced anything. He hasn't actually made any he didn't say anything. What is happening? We're all just anticipating for the big things to happen. It would be amazing. 3 next fights, beat everyone up, and then say, right, I'm done, guys. I'm going to obviously continue with the his proper 12 whiskey. And
Black Forge, his Black Forge Inn, whatever it's called, his little restaurant he's got. Yeah, he's got loads of cards on the table. You are right. I think he has got 3 fights left in him. I think that is what he's got. I think if he was to become the champion, I think he would probably retire on top. Like I said, I think if McGregor was to lose. Say if he was to lose against Michael Chandler, I think we'd see him once more time. If he was to win against Michael Chandler, I think we'd see him fight 2 more times because I can't see him retiring on a loss. One thing I will say, I agree with you in the fact that we could see potentially the best McGregor we have seen. Obviously because of his leg injury, he's got this new metal shin that he, keeps going on about, and that's going to give him a huge confidence boost. He seems, like you said, some people take that injury and, are then scared of it. He seems to be boasting about it, saying he's going to smack people in the head with it. So, I think the metal shin might be giving him a massive confidence boost. He has the perfect style to beat Chandler. if Chandler fights the way he usually does. Chandler needs to wrestle if he's going to win this fight. So let's say Conor wins the fight. Yeah. He goes out there. Let's say he goes out there and he smokes Chandler in a minute, 2 minutes. Boom. You've got the new / old McGregor. The movement McGregor is back. The McGregor that's obsessed with the fight, obsessed with the movement like he used to be. Mystic Mac comes back, smokes Chandler, and then onto the Islam fight. Potentially Volkanovski. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago, that was a crazy, crazy fight. People had it different ways. Potentially, that could happen as a rematch. Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. Have a rematch for the lightweight belt. Anyway, with that said, that means McGregor could then fight, Islam Makhachev or Volkanovski for the championship belt. That is a potential.
Yeah. Oh, once again, that will be so amazing to see.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm gonna put this into our little conversation, right? With him recently recovering, right? Using the things that fighters should not be using when recovering or having in their bodies, right? I know he gained a lot of mass, he's built honestly, the build is different, right? We've seen the pictures, we've seen him before, we see him now. Yeah, he's massive. Yeah. We all know that he must have used something to get where he is, right?
Yeah.
My biggest concern is obviously, he will, because there's going to be a point he's probably now stopped, obviously, because he will come back to fighting. He needs to obviously stop to clear himself. Do you think that's going to have a bit of an impact on him or not?
In terms of coming off said steroids?
Yes, I wasn't going to use that word for this podcast.
No.
Let's just say
it basically is. In performance enhancers anyway. Potentially, as long as he does it the right way and doesn't come off them quickly and then fight, that will be detrimental. But obviously with USADA, the testing people, I believe I've been reading, he has to be in the testing pool for, I think it's 5 or 6 or 4, 5 or 6 months. I can't remember what it was, but I know that he has to be tested over a period of time. So hopefully that time will be enough time for him to get used to being off that sort of thing, getting used to his body the way it usually performs, without some extra help. And he's going to have to shed some weight because he has bulked up massively, like you said.
His face especially as well. Have you actually looked at his face? He's got from music, obviously the steroids and stuff like that. He's got blemishes on his skin and stuff like that. You can see it. Obviously, it's from hardcore usage of those steroids, right? He does need to come off it. His face completely changed to what we've seen before. He is going to do a massive shift. But then again, I'm just thinking in terms of obviously he will do that shift. He will obviously lose the weight. He will trim up. Is this going to impact the way he's going to fight, the way he's going to be confidence-wise again? Because, currently you see him, he's all walking around, all cocky, this, that, and everything. Is that going to drop his, level of being confident and actually coming back to UFC stronger, better than ever? Or is that going to be just, right, I'm back, I've done what I had to do, I'm allowed, let's fight and let's win this? I don't know. I'm sort of in two minds with this.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'd like to think he's, ready to come off it. He's ready for that natural feeling again. You can never truly say because, a lot of fighters, when they come off that sort of thing, they just look terrible. There's so many fighters in the past that, weren't being tested enough, etc., etc. Then when they get caught and they come off it, they have just looked absolutely dog shit. Shit like that happens, but I'd like to think McGregor is a smart enough man, a dedicated enough man to the sport of MMA to be disciplined enough to accept that this is what the fight game actually is. This is what it's always been. This is what he has always been, is a natural fighter. As a massive McGregor fan, I'd like to hope that he's fully prepared to make that change and, dedicate everything he's got to it to make sure that doesn't affect it.
Yeah.
But, science is science and he might very well be used to the way his body's performing and then,
This is what I mean. Yeah. This might be the issue. Obviously, we've seen him in that shape for quite some time now. Obviously, after the injury, obviously, he did recover. But we've seen him that sort of bulked up, that sort of looking for quite some time now. And then, there might be that mindset shift to actually be, I don't want to come off this. What do I do to still stay in this shape, but not come off something that's keeping him comfy and happy and good? Because that's probably what's going through his mind right now. You know, he used it. He bulked up. We've seen him, absolutely massive. He might be loving it. He might be fucking enjoying it. But how is that going to stack up against the fight? And obviously how the anti-doping agencies will go with that. You never know. You never. The big question is, you know, has he come off it officially, or has he not come off it officially? Because again, like you said, it takes 4 to 6 months of you know, testing being done.
Yeah,
I want to say on a regular basis, but they literally just go into your house in the morning and say, "Pee into a cup." You know,
they show up whenever the fuck they want to show up.
Exactly. He's going to have to be very strict with what he does and how he does it. And he is actually going to have to put a stop to it, right? If he does want to fight.
Without a doubt, he will get caught if he's using it still. Without a doubt. The testing is too good these days. You know, people can be ahead of the curve, is a saying I hear around, you know, the social media and stuff, meaning they know ways to use steroids and when to come off them. And, you know, you hear that all the time. It's just rumours. Most people flag up when they've been using, you know, so I think you're right. He has to put a stop to it if he's going to compete anytime soon. Obviously, everybody has said, you know, Dana White, he said that they should be having this McGregor-Chandler fight by the end of the year. But, you know, April, May, June's fast approaching, and there's still no sign that McGregor is in the testing pool. So, you know.
Well, that's the case.
He's going to have to come off it, you know, sooner rather than later, because that fight is going to have to be made soon. And, you know, if he's on it, he's going to pop. So, yeah, he's got to come off it. He's got to do it soon. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, yeah. He's going to pop because he's just going to explode for how hench he is, not being funny, mate. And then second thing is, we're now going into where we're in March now. Let's say he's going to have to wait full 6 months to be in that testing pool, and then he's going to somehow come off it. That's going to put us, October? November time?
Exactly. Exactly.
He's going to be 35 then as well. His birthday's in July, I think.
I think so.
He's going to be 35. That's a year older to what, obviously, all the hype has been all about. So, again, you know, that all needs to be taken into consideration because, you know, it's going to have an impact on the guy.
Yeah, definitely. You know, what are you going to do? Fucking, he's just got to get on it. I just want to hear the news that he's back in the testing pool. I want to see that official, you know, the official fight, the official poster. I just want to see it. I just want to see the facts, you know. All we're seeing is just, you know, the Ultimate Fighter leaks. I'm just ready to see this guy back in the octagon, man.
Yeah, they have been teasing us for a very long time of him obviously going on Instagram and all the other social medias, obviously, you know, showing pictures of himself, you know, in the training gear and stuff like that and all this. But yeah, there hasn't been actually anything official saying, right, Dana White, this is the official announcement. Conor McGregor's now back. You know, he's going to be obviously subjected to all the tests by anti-doping agency, yada, yada, yada. The fight is scheduled for this, that. Nothing, completely nothing. We're now obviously in March, you know, third month of the year. Come on, bring something, give us something.
Literally.
Time's running out, really.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, time is. Excuse me. I'll start again, shall I? Time keeps ticking. Like you said, he's going to be 35 in July. You know, we said maybe 2 or 3 more fights left in him. So, you know, how long is that going to take? Say if he goes with an absolute war with Michael Chandler, you know, gets cut up, gets bloodied up, he's going to be suspended for a long period of time because that's what they do. Even if you know, come out unscathed, they will usually suspend you for a little bit of time due to health reasons. You know? Exactly. So, you know, if he goes for a war, he could easily get suspended for 6 months to a year. Do you know what I mean? And then what? Do you know what I mean? You've now got even less time. You're then 37 coming up. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking... Who knows what could happen, man?
Exactly. It's the only thing I'm hoping for, and this is something that I will say, please, if you can listen to this, Conor, do not do another shitty boxing fight with some boxer. This is one thing we do not want to see.
I want to see the movement McGregor come back. You know, that's the rumor. I don't want to see the flat-footed McGregor trying to box everybody's head off. That's not what the McGregor is. The McGregor is setting up the movement. He's setting up the left hand. That's the McGregor I want to see.
Absolutely, and I will join you on that, and we want to see more of it. But he needs to get his ass in gear. Like I said before, we're March now. Time is ticking. He needs to be doing something with with what he's planning. Is he going to be promoting his vodka or whiskey company for the rest of his life? Well, probably but then obviously if he wants to return, do what you've got to do, and then just retire somewhere on a nice island, chill with a nice record behind you, with a nice championship and all this. You had a belt, whatever. Happy days.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the craziest outcome that could probably happen, is McGregor riding off into the sunset. This is McGregor comes back, he smokes Michael Chandler, he gets the title fight, he smokes Islam or Volkanovski, right? Big statement, I know, but fuck it. Let's say he does it. I think the craziest thing, he then jumps on the mic, he calls out Khabib for a rematch, he beats Khabib, and he fucking bounces. He retires having ended Islam's reign. He ends Khabib's GOAT status, and he fucks off into the sunset. First ever double champion. The guy who ended Khabib's GOAT status retires on top for all the world to be in awe of the greatest sportsman to ever live.
That is a perfect ending. And to this amazing episode that we've just done.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for listening. Episode number 9. Next week, we're going to do episode number 10. We're going to do it a bit differently. We're going to be recording it. First ever time recording, video, all that shebang. Things are starting to kick off.
Oh, yes. We'll make things a bit different, guys. But yeah, the big number 10 is coming to you soon. But nonetheless, thank you for listening. And we will both see you on the next one.